The concept of Superman joining the fight against Thanos changes the entire calculus of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. In April 2018, audiences watched the Avengers lose for the very first time. But that defeat hinged on a lack of raw speed and power that a Kryptonian possesses in spades. Adding another hero to the roster is different from introducing a force of nature that breaks the power scaling of the MCU. We're dropping Henry Cavill's Superman directly into the opening moments of Infinity War to see if the Man of Steel can stop the Mad Titan before he even snaps his fingers. The story begins deep in space, moments after Thanos has decimated the Asgardian refugee ship. In the original timeline, this was a massacre, but today, a blur of red and blue streaks past the stars. Superman hears the distress signal with superhearing that spans galaxies and arrives just as Cole Obsidian is about to strike Thor. The difference is immediate because Superman catches the weapon and shatters it, rather than just blocking the blow. The Black Order looks genuinely confused for the first time since they are used to fighting soldiers and gods instead of physics-breaking speedsters. Thanos holding the Power Stone is the first real test. When Hulk attacked Thanos, the Titan used superior boxing skills to dismantle him. Superman fights differently by breaking the sound barrier instantly rather than closing the distance with footsteps. Thanos swings his fist glowing purple with the Power Stone's energy, but Superman's heat vision forces him back. The clash between a Power Stone punch and a Kryptonian flying ram would likely tear the ship apart instantly. This forces Thanos to use the Space Stone immediately to retreat, as he realizes he cannot win a physical brawl here. With the Asgardians saved, Superman escorts the survivors to Earth and crash lands at the Sanctum Sanctorum alongside Bruce Banner. The dynamic in New York shifts dramatically. Tony Stark, Doctor Strange, and Wong are preparing for an invasion, but now they have a being who floats silently above the street. Stark's ego usually fills the room, yet he would likely be unnerved by someone who makes his nanotechnology look like a toy. Strange senses a problem immediately because he can see that Superman's aura has zero protection against the mystic arts, despite his physical invincibility. When the Q-ship descends over Greenwich Village, Ebony Maw and Cole Obsidian beam down. In the movie, this was a destructive brawl, but with Superman, it plays out differently. Superman speed blitzes Cole Obsidian and knocks the behemoth into the stratosphere before Spider-Man even swings onto the screen. Ebony Maw simply lifts a finger and Superman freezes because Maw's telekinesis is magical in nature. He creates a simple spell of binding that Clark Kent cannot break. This moment is important because it proves Superman needs the wizard, rather than acting as a cheat code for everything. Iron Man and Spider-Man have to save Superman and Strange this time. Once the binding spell breaks, Superman recovers and realizes he cannot let Maw speak or move his hands. He uses his freeze breath, a power rarely seen in modern films, but necessary here, to encase Maw in absolute zero ice. The threat is neutralized by tactical speed rather than brute force. The ship is likely already autopiloting to Titan, so Superman flies alongside the Q-ship to push it off course, or rips the doors open to enter since he does not need a spacesuit. The group arrives on Titan, where the Guardians of the Galaxy attack them in a confusion of blasters and gadgets. Star-Lord puts a gun to Spider-Man's head, but Superman disarms everyone before they finish their sentences. Drax trying to stab Superman would result in his knife shattering, and the interaction between Peter Quill and Clark Kent would be comedy gold. Quill is insecure around Thor, so around Superman he would be despondent. Mantis offers a unique advantage because she can sense Superman's pure heart and create a bond of trust faster than the Avengers managed. The original plan on Titan relied on holding Thanos down, but with Superman, the plan simplifies. They need to keep the gauntlet open rather than holding him down. Doctor Strange looks into 14 million futures and sees a new path. The winning scenario requires Superman to move faster than the synapses in Thanos' brain can fire, instead of relying on Star-Lord to keep his cool. The strategy is set, where Strange distracts with flashy magic. Iron Man controls the battlefield, and Superman waits for the single microsecond the gauntlet is exposed. Thanos steps through the portal, confident and armed with 4 Infinity Stones. He expects a struggle, but is unprepared for a sonic boom to hit him immediately. Superman flies in at Mach 10, aiming for the gauntlet, but Thanos is a genius warrior. He activates the Reality Stone instantly to turn the air around Superman into solid kryptonite, or turn Superman's bones to rubber. This is the danger of the Reality Stone, because it bypasses durability. Superman falls with his momentum gone, proving that physical stats do not matter when an opponent controls existence. Doctor Strange counters the Reality Stone with the Mirror Dimension to give Superman a chance to recover. Strange handles the metaphysical attacks in this two-front war, while Superman handles the physical ones. Thanos tries to close his fist to use the Power Stone, but Superman is there, gripping the gauntlet with strength that rivals the Titan's own. Unlike Captain America, who struggled to hold two fingers open, Superman can overpower Thanos' arm. But Thanos uses the Soul Stone to attack Superman's spirit and forces him to relive the death of Zod or his father. Nebula reveals Gamora's death, and Star-Lord punches Thanos to break the trance in the original movie, but the situation changes here. Even if Star-Lord loses control and attacks, Superman is fast enough to catch Quill's hand before it hits Thanos. He has the reflex speed to stop the mistake that doomed half the universe. Superman gently moves Quill aside while maintaining his grip on the gauntlet. They pull the glove off until it slides free, and the Infinity Gauntlet clatters to the floor of Titan, signifying a brief victory for the Avengers. Victory against the Time Stone is an illusion. Thanos creates a localized time loop using a prepared failsafe spell, or by holding the Time Stone between his fingers, like Strange did in his own movie. Time rewinds, causing the gauntlet to snap back onto his hand. Thanos realizes he cannot win this fight fairly, so he uses the Space Stone to teleport the moon as a distraction to escape. He abandons the fight on Titan, leaving the heroes alive but stranded. While the Titan team figures out how to get home, the battle in Wakanda begins. The Outriders overwhelmed the barrier without Superman, but this battle would be trivial if he had stayed on Earth instead of going to Titan. He would hover over the hole in the shield and use heat vision on every creature that tried to enter. The sheer volume of enemies is irrelevant to a man who can move faster than they can blink. Since he is on Titan, the Wakanda battle plays out similarly until Thor arrives with Stormbreaker. Corvus Glaive presents a specific threat in Wakanda because his weapon is one of the few things in the universe capable of cutting atoms. It could theoretically slice Superman's skin, so if Superman were present, he might arrogantly tank a hit, only to bleed. This would be a shocking moment, proving that Kryptonians aren't gods in the MCU. Superman's reaction speed would prevent a second hit, and he would disarm Glaive and bend the weapon into a pretzel, despite the vulnerability adding necessary tension to the story. The Avengers fall one by one when Thanos arrives in Wakanda for the Mind Stone. A portal from Doctor Strange opens, allowing the Titan team to return instantly, and Superman sees Thanos walking toward Vision. Thanos activates the Time Stone to slow time, but Superman moves so fast that he appears as a blur even within the slowed time. It becomes a race between Thanos closing his fingers and Superman reaching the gauntlet. Thor throws Stormbreaker, and Superman adds his own momentum to the axe to strike Thanos with the force of a colliding planet. Thanos cannot snap with Stormbreaker buried in his chest and Superman holding his arm open because he lacks the physical leverage. Thor gloated in the movie, giving Thanos time, but Superman acts immediately and rips the gauntlet off the Titan's arm. The snap is prevented, though the energy release from damaging the gauntlet might injure Superman severely and leave him vulnerable for a future sequel. The dust does not rise, and the heroes stand alive amidst the ruins of the Wakandan forest, proving that the Man of Steel was the missing piece all along. Adding Superman to Infinity War breaks the carefully balanced tension of the film. His speed solves too many problems and forces the writers to either bench him with magic or upgrade Thanos to godlike reflex levels. It is fun to imagine him speed blitzing the Mad Titan, but the tragedy of the snap was necessary for the growth of the Avengers. Superman saves the day and effectively saves them from the lesson they needed to learn.